Ansu Fati. Carrying an impossible legacy, the young Spanish forward's career trajectory reads like both a dream and a cautionary tale. Breaking into Barcelona's first team as a teenager, he became the youngest Champions League goalscorer in history at just 17. The football world immediately crowned him as the heir to greatness. When Lionel Grealish departed Barcelona, the club handed Fati the legendary number 10 jersey. For most 18-year-olds, this would be an honor. For Fati, it became a weight he couldn't lift. Every touch was scrutinized against impossible standards. Every missed opportunity sparked debate about whether he could truly follow in those iconic footsteps. His body began breaking down under the strain. Serious injuries kept him sidelined for extended periods, each comeback hyped as a resurrection, each setback analyzed as potential tragedy. The pressure was relentless and unforgiving. Currently on loan at Monaco, Fati has started finding his form again with impressive performances in his opening matches. Away from the intense spotlight of Camp Nou, he's rediscovering what made him special in the first place. Sometimes the best path forward requires stepping away from the glare. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this analysis, please take a moment to like and subscribe. It really helps us bring you more content like this. Jude Bellingham, the spotlight's chosen one. Some players gradually grow into stardom. Jude Bellingham had it thrust upon him at warp speed. By 16, he was captaining Birmingham City. By 20, he became Real Madrid's marquee signing and England's midfield cornerstone. The attention follows him everywhere. A brilliant performance becomes viral content within minutes. One quiet match transforms into crisis management. Even his simple gestures get dissected like state secrets. At Madrid, he's surrounded by legends and superstars, yet somehow the cameras always find him first. He carries England's World Cup hopes, Madrid's next-generation branding, and constant comparisons to players decades into their careers. The expectations would overwhelm most professionals, let alone someone barely into his 20s. What makes his situation unique is how he handles it. That calm demeanor under intense scrutiny, that confidence despite the pressure, it's rare. Whether he can sustain it long-term remains the ultimate test. Greatness can flourish in attention or be consumed by it. Lamine Yamal, the marketing machine. At barely 18 years old, Lamine Yamal already lives like a seasoned veteran in the eyes of the media machine. Every goal, every assist, sometimes even his warm-up routines get packaged into social media content with dramatic soundtracks and bold declarations about the future. Barcelona's promotional strategy identified him early as the symbol of their post-Messi era. The club positioned him across every platform possible, building a brand before he'd even established himself. It's brilliant marketing. It's also tremendous pressure. One underwhelming performance and the same outlets that built him up start questioning whether the hype was justified. At his age, most players are still learning their craft away from constant judgment. Yamal does it under a microscope. He's already secured endorsement deals that veterans dream about. He appears in high-profile campaigns. His social media posts, even cryptic emojis, spark analysis and debate. It's the modern football cycle, where one viral clip equals a week of headlines. The challenge isn't whether he has talent. That's obvious. The challenge is whether the perpetual attention helps or hinders his development. Sometimes being the next big thing before you've become anything can be the heaviest burden of all. Cristiano Ronaldo, the mirror and the man. Ronaldo doesn't just play football, he performs it. From his first days at Manchester United with frosted tips and youthful swagger, it was clear this player viewed himself differently, training harder, shouting louder, celebrating bigger, everything amplified. That self-belief built an empire. 5 Champions League titles, numerous Ballon d'Or awards, over 900 career goals. The numbers are staggering. The confidence that fueled those achievements also created friction everywhere he went. His desire for validation became a mission to outshine everyone around him. At Real Madrid, even when setting records that some clubs don't achieve in decades, he obsessed over being recognized as the man. When teammates celebrated, he checked statistics. When managers rotated the squad, he perceived betrayal. Every departure told similar stories. Manchester United ended with a controversial television interview. Juventus concluded in frustration. Even Madrid, where trophies masked tensions, carried underlying conflicts. The same ego that drove his dominance burned bridges on the way out. Now in Saudi Arabia, he still demands the same reverence he received at his peak. Same rituals, same spotlight expectations. The fascinating paradox of his career is that his greatest rival was never another player. It was always his own reflection, a legend he could never quite satisfy. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, the art of self-mythology. Zlatan Ibrahimovic doesn't need journalists to write his story. He's been narrating it himself for 20 years. Every quote, every goal, every raised eyebrow feels orchestrated by someone who genuinely believes he's the main character in football history. From Malmö to Milan, from Los Angeles to the San Siro, he carried himself like a walking headline generator. His confidence started early. At Ajax, teammates reported he'd practice martial arts kicks during training just to assert dominance. At Inter and Barcelona, he clashed with coaches who tried directing where he should position himself. When Pep Guardiola called him difficult to manage, Zlatan responded by suggesting Pep should stick to philosophy. When most players get transferred, they post polite goodbyes. Zlatan announces things like, "Zlatan came like a king, left like a legend." His narcissism became armor. The arrogance was branding. Joining LA Galaxy, his first message was a full-page advertisement. "Dear Los Angeles, you're welcome." Marketing genius wrapped in supreme self-confidence. Even retirement couldn't quiet him. His farewell speech at Milan included, "I say goodbye to football, but not to you. You're welcome." It was pure theatre, absurd, poetic, unforgettable. The performance of confidence became as memorable as the goals themselves. Kylian Mbappé, the power player. By 19, Mbappé was a World Cup winner. By 23, he was apparently deciding who takes penalties, where he plays, and possibly who sits next to him at team dinners. He became the first footballer to transform a dressing room into a democracy with himself as president. His 2022 contract renewal at PSG became legendary. Reports suggested it granted him influence over transfers, coaching decisions, maybe even catering choices. The agreement was less like a player contract and more like a royal decree, with Paris agreeing to orbit around his preferences. For a moment, he wasn't just PSG's star, he was their entire project. The issue with power is its addictive nature. Once acquired, returning to being just another squad member becomes nearly impossible. Even with France's national team, tensions emerged, clashes with the federation over image rights, public disagreements with teammates over who takes penalties, post-match interviews that functioned as subtle displays of authority. Behind that composed smile is someone who learned to treat football like chess, where everyone else moves while he controls the board. Now at Real Madrid, the question becomes fascinating. Can he share space with another galaxy of egos? Or does the throne only feel right when occupied alone? Time will reveal whether power sharing is possible or whether he needs singular dominance to thrive. Vinicius Jr., Fire and Fury. Vinicius plays football like every match is personal. Every dribble, celebration, and stare down carries emotional weight powerful enough to light a stadium. He arrived at Real Madrid as a skinny teenager with raw speed and questionable finishing. Over time, he evolved into the club's explosive force, skilled, spectacular, and emotionally volatile. Opponents learned early that stopping Vinicius wasn't always about tackling. Sometimes a taunt, rough challenges, or words in his ear could flip a switch. The crowd joins in, and suddenly it's not just a match, it's a personal duel between him and the world. His talent makes him nearly unstoppable. His temperament makes him unpredictable. In Spain, this tension became national news. He's faced racial abuse from stands, been booed by rival fans, mocked by opponents who know he'll respond. Yet he keeps fighting, sometimes literally, with his voice, body language, and relentless style. Referees have had to adjust protocols because of how often tensions escalate around him. Carlo Ancelotti once noted that Vinicius has the soul of a fighter. That's accurate, but even fighters need control. For every jaw-dropping goal, there's a moment where he argues with officials instead of tracking back defensively. He represents that double-edged sword, a player who can destroy defenses one week and nearly get himself sent off the next. Managing that fire without extinguishing what makes him special remains his greatest challenge. Sadio Mane, the breaking point. For years, Mane was the model professional. At Liverpool, he pressed relentlessly, scored consistently, and smiled through everything, even when others grabbed headlines he arguably deserved. Behind that calm exterior though, pressure was building like steam in a sealed kettle. He carried Senegal's hopes, matched top attacking numbers, yet rarely received equivalent recognition. That patience eventually cracked, though not where anyone expected. After joining Bayern Munich, reportedly seeking escape from playing in someone else's shadow, Mane was involved in a locker room incident following a Champions League loss to Manchester City. He punched teammate Leroy Sané during an argument. Bayern suspended and fined him, the world suddenly saw a different side of someone known for humility. Teammates later revealed tensions had been building for weeks. He was frustrated with his role, his minutes, the club's atmosphere. The smile that once defined him appeared less frequently. When Bayern eventually parted ways with him, he found a fresh start in Saudi Arabia, but the story lingered. The image of a player who finally let emotion take the wheel. People make mistakes, and Mané remains widely respected for his character and charitable work. Yet that moment revealed even the most composed individuals have limits. Darwin Núñez, the chaos striker. When Liverpool signed Núñez from Benfica, expectations were enormous. Fast, strong, fearless. He seemed perfect for Jurgen Klopp's system. Then came the actual matches, and with them, the finishing attempts that sometimes ended closer to corner flags than goal nets. His problem isn't effort. He runs like someone being chased by consequences. The issue is composure. Inside the penalty area, he can transform a perfect scoring opportunity into a physics experiment. One match, he'll chip the goalkeeper like a seasoned professional. The next, he'll launch the ball into orbit. Fans dubbed him Chaos FC, not as mockery, but as accurate description. You never quite know which version appears. His energy pulls defenders out of position and forces mistakes. He creates chances through sheer unpredictability. The frustration comes from consistency. That final touch separating wildness from world class remains elusive. When confident, he looks unstoppable. When doubting himself, every shot feels like gambling. Klopp defended him, noting he's still adapting and learning to stay calm in front of goal. There's truth there. His statistics, goals, assists, expected goals, show someone perpetually almost there. Now playing for Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia after his transfer in 2025, he has new opportunities to prove himself. Ousmane Dembélé, the injury cycle. Dembélé's career feels like watching a highlight reel stuck on pause. Every time he explodes back into form, something breaks down. The French winger burst onto the scene at Borussia Dortmund. Fast, fearless, capable of destroying ankles on command. Barcelona saw one season and paid over 100 million euros in 2017, expecting the next superstar. Instead, they got a lottery ticket that kept getting torn apart. Within months of arriving, his hamstring failed. Then it happened again and again. By 2020, he'd missed more matches through injury than he'd actually played. Early reports suggested he struggled with recovery routines, sleep habits, and nutrition. The club brought in private chefs, medical specialists, even implemented restrictions to help. He wasn't lazy, he just lived like a teenager who happened to earn millions and run faster than physics should allow. When healthy, he's breathtaking. Two-footed dribbling, unpredictable movement, speed that makes defenders look frozen. But his body keeps rebelling. Each muscle problem feels like déjà vu. Fans joke that Dembélé's comeback is a seasonal event. Every year promises a fresh start. Every season ends with rehabilitation videos. However, during the 2024-25 season with Paris Saint-Germain, Dembélé finally found sustained form. He contributed significantly to PSG's historic treble victory, scoring numerous goals and providing crucial assists. His performances earned him recognition as one of the season's top players, culminating in winning the Ballon d'Or, remarkably while recovering from injury. It proved that when his body cooperates, few players in the world can match his abilities. Antony, the over-dribbler. Since arriving at Manchester United from Ajax, Antony has divided opinion faster than he completes stepovers. The Brazilian winger came with highlight reels full of tricks, curls, and swagger that made fans dream about Flair returning to Old Trafford. Then Premier League reality arrived. Every time Antony receives the ball, it's like he's loading a special move. Spin, cut inside, fake, repeat. Defenders learned that sometimes you don't even need to tackle him, just wait for him to dribble himself into traffic. Fans started joking that his right foot exists only for balance. Critics pointed out the pattern: fancy touches, zero end product. The infamous 360-degree spin against Sheriff Tiraspol summarized everything perfectly. He executed a full rotation, passed the ball out of play, and got substituted at halftime. His manager defended it as confidence. Others called it unnecessary. At Ajax, his flair worked because space existed. At United, every fullback presses like their contract depends on it. His excessive dribbling slows attacks and frustrates teammates who make runs for passes that never arrive. Still, there's raw talent beneath the chaos. When timed correctly, especially now on loan at Real Betis, the spins turn into rhythm and that left foot can slice through defenses. But his biggest challenge is learning that sometimes the most skillful move is the simplest one. Jadon Sancho, the attitude problem. At 19, Sancho was lighting up Dortmund like someone playing video games on easy mode. Stepovers, assists, swagger. England called him the next big thing. United paid £90 million to bring him home, and the Premier League called him expensive. Then everything derailed. Initially, it appeared to be adaptation struggles, new club, new pressure. Soon, whispers started, missed training sessions, clashes with coaches, too many distractions off the pitch. When his manager publicly questioned his effort in 2023, Sancho didn't stay quiet. He posted on social media, accusing his coach of lying and transforming one bad comment into a public feud. Things spiraled from there. Frozen out of the squad, removed from first-team facilities, he essentially became a ghost haunting United's wage bill. Fans debated responsibility, the manager's methods or the player's pride, but the story remained consistent. Sancho stopped listening. At Dortmund, he thrived under freedom. At United, he wanted the same while being asked for discipline. When he didn't receive it, frustration became stubbornness. Talent was never Sancho's problem. His biggest fight is with himself, facing the version that believed he didn't need to change. For someone once known for creativity, he's now stuck in the hardest puzzle, rebuilding reputation. Jack Grealish, the lifestyle choice. Ever since his Aston Villa days, Grealish has looked like football's rock star. Socks rolled down, hair perfectly disheveled, shin guards smaller than common sense would suggest. He plays like someone running late to a festival and dribbles like the ball owes him money. When Manchester City paid over £100 million for him, people expected constant brilliance. What they received was a mixture of quality performances and nightlife headlines. Videos of him leaving clubs late traveled faster than his assist statistics. Yet fans still adore him because the chaos feels authentic. He doesn't act polished or robotic. He acts like someone who never realized he should calm down now that he's wealthy and famous. Pep Guardiola's tactical system nearly overwhelmed him at first. All the diagrams, rotations, and don't lose possession lectures. That's football school. Grealish seemed more suited for recess than classroom. Over time, Pep drilled discipline into him, and for a period, he became City's reliable left-wing contributor. But once the champagne flowed after the treble, the real Jack reappeared, singing on parade buses, dancing with beverages, fully embracing his celebrity persona. For Grealish, lifestyle was part of the brand. The danger emerges when the party overshadows the purpose. He's got everything a Premier League star dreams about: trophies, talent, spotlight. The question is whether he'll keep performing for fans on the pitch or for cameras outside clubs. Now on loan at Everton for the 2025-26 season, Grealish has a new opportunity to refocus his career. The move gives him consistent playing time and a chance to prove himself in a World Cup year under manager David Moyes, who has long admired his abilities. Modern football demands more than technical ability. These players demonstrate that success requires managing ego, controlling emotion, maintaining physical health, and making wise personal choices. Some handle these challenges better than others, but all face internal battles that statistics and trophies never fully reveal. The players who ultimately endure aren't always the most talented. They're the ones who master themselves as thoroughly as they've mastered their sport.